said something that I think is very interesting, and it's that men are not warming to Kamala Harris. And I think there's some deep ingrained things. There's sort of a naggy, screechy thing. I mean, every man alive, there's a certain sound, I think, that gets under men's skin. I mean, I think it might be genetically programmed, just like as a baby's cry is a motivation for people to take care of a baby. It's deep in their bones. I think Kamala Harris reminds people of their first wife. Kamala Harris reminds people of take out the garbage, mow the lawn.
Well,
I asked you to take the laundry. Like, it's just a nagging, haggling, heckling, and that laugh. I know it's not fair, but I think that a lot of men just want to not hear her. I don't know if that's a sexist thing to say, but I think it's a phenomenon
let me put it slightly differently. First of all, I think men are prepared to vote for a female candidate. There are women in politics and media who are beloved by men. Look at Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly has one of the most successful podcasts in American media. She was at Fox. She was the Golden Girl. She was the big star. And in many ways, she was anti-Trump back in 2015,
right.
2016. She almost built her brand around the idea that Hillary Clinton was going to be the next president. And when that didn't happen and her career at Fox fell apart, she picked up the pieces and started her own podcast. And when you listen to her podcast, she's often hanging out with guys, with male analysts, with big guys from the political world. And what she has done is she has shown that she can be one of the guys. And so men love her podcast. It doesn't hurt that she's attractive and she's affable and she has a sense of humor and she can swear as well as any sailor. But she's also one of the guys. She has shown male qualities like strength, tolerance. She can take a joke. She can take a punch. She can throw a punch. She is a great example of the kind of persona that attracts men in politics and in media. You can do that. Kamala Harris is, look, I'm still on wife number one. My wife also tells me to take out the trash. In fact, I just took it out a few minutes ago. But that's not the issue. The issue is, can you attract people who want to be themselves around you? And all you have to do to understand why men don't like Kamala Harris is look at Doug Emhoff, okay? The second gentleman. He is not just her husband, he is the new paragon of masculinity, according to Democrats. Democrats consider him the country's hottest sex symbol, all right? This guy makes speeches about how bad toxic masculinity is, and he talks about how much he tries to support his wife, but how she yells at him and how, he always messes up. I mean, this guy is the ultimate beta male, at least in terms of his persona. But then all of these allegations come out about how he impregnated the nanny in his first marriage and how he was nasty to women at his firm. And there are allegations from an ex-girlfriend that he slapped her so hard that she spun around. The flip side of this kind of wimpy masculinity is a deep and dark cruelty that is the worst of masculinity, and it's not what most men are or aspire to be. And that's the bind that Democrats have put men in. Men can't be themselves around Democrats. It doesn't have very much to do with male or female. What Megyn Kelly understands and what other female politicians and hosts understand is that you have to develop a natural bond with men and allow them to be who they are. If you try to force them into this box of, as we like to say, the pajama boy, who was one of the Barack Obama icons, selling Obamacare, sitting in his pajamas, drinking hot chocolate and not doing a job. I mean, we're going to reject that. We're also going to reject the over-the-top displays of masculinity of a Tim Walz who goes pheasant hunting and can't load his own shotgun, or tries to play football with AOC on Madden and doesn't even know how to score a touchdown and claims that she's calling a pick six play. You don't call a pick six. That's just a defensive play. You don't plan for it in advance. I mean, these over-the-top attempts to appeal to men by doing what they think are male activities. You just have to have a certain way about you. And it's not that she's a woman or a first wife. She's simply an intolerant person because her party is intolerant.
And she's so inauthentic. You know what it is? It's inauthentic. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know what she's like. I don't think anyone does.
No, look, I think Trump said something very nice about her. And I think Trump is correct. He was asked probably the most interesting question Trump got in the entire campaign. It happened last week at Univision. And you might want to find the clip because it's so good. Spanish language TV. and a voter asked him to say 3 nice things about Kamala Harris. And he said it was the toughest question he had. But he thought about it and he gave a very sincere answer. And one of the things he said was that she seems to have a nice way about her in some settings. And he also said she seems to have enduring friendships. There are people who've been friends with her for a very long time. And he said that that's a very good quality. And the other thing he said he admired about her was that she's a survivor, that she's tough, because you don't make it through the political morass and come out on top of her party the way she has, unless there's some toughness to you. So there are things about her that men admire, that Trump admires, but those are not the things that they bring out. As you say, it's the inauthenticity. Doug Emhoff is held up as the paragon of masculinity because he's completely deferential to his wife. He's not himself. Yeah. He doesn't get to be himself except in these perverted ways, if I can use that term. And I'm not a judgmental person. I have rather socially liberal views on most issues of sexual morality, but I mean perverted in the sense of twisted, where it's okay to hit women, where it's okay to cheat on women, where you impregnate the nanny and she loses the child somehow. We don't know what happened to that child. I mean, that's a distortion of masculinity. He calls being strong and tough toxic masculinity, but he is toxic masculinity, right. This kind of feeble exterior, but this cruel dark side. And that's what she evokes. And that's why she has a problem with men. So Trump's going to all these podcasts because that's where the men are. And he's going to bring out men to vote in a way that I don't think we've seen in a very long time.
Very interesting. Here's the clip from Univision. We'll take a look at it.
Good evening, Mr. President. I only think it's fair to ask the same question I posed the Democrat candidate.
¿Cuáles son las 3 virtudes que usted reconoce en la vicepresidenta Kamala Harris?
What are the 3 virtues that you see in Vice President Kamala Harris?
That's a very hard question. That's the toughest question. The other ones are easy. Look, I'm not a fan. I think she's harmed our country horribly at the border, with inflation, with so many other things. But she seems to have an ability to survive. Because, she was out of the race and all of a sudden she's running for president. That's a great ability that some people have and some people don't have. She seems to have some pretty long-time friendships. And that's, also, I don't call that an ability. I call that a good thing. And she seems to have a nice way about her. I mean, I like the way, some of her statements, some of her, the way she behaves in a certain way. But in another way, I think it's very bad for our country, But she does seem to have some relationships that be lasting. And she does seem to be a survivor. Because remember, she was the first one out, and all of a sudden she's running for president. And the other 21 people that are running, they're sitting home watching her on television, right? So that's by far the toughest question I've had today. Thank you very much.
I appreciate your answer.
Hey, back to the male thing. Kamala Harris is losing black male support. And I see, and by the way, black Americans are 14% of the population. Black men, therefore, are around 7% of the population. And I think the Democrats are used to getting 6 out of the 7 of those votes. And if that falls to 5 or 4, especially in places like Philadelphia or Detroit, where there's a lot of black men, that could tip a few things, especially in Pennsylvania. And so she's trying to reach out to black men. And I see so many streeters where they're not having it. I think they have some doubts as to whether or not she really is black. I think Trump planted a few thoughts there. But when Kamala Harris came out with her black men policy, it was weird. It was, we'll make it so that you can get into the pot business. We'll protect your crypto. I think there was something in there about porn, if I recall. Here's an ad that Reid Hoffman's super PAC put out, trying to appeal to men who like pornography. I just want to give a viewer discretion. This is a real ad run by a Democrat super PAC in support of Kamala Harris. Viewer discretion advised. Take a look.
Oh! Sorry, you can't do that.
What the hell, man? How'd you get in here?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're banning porn nationwide.
You can't tell me what to do. Get out of my bedroom, you creep.
I won the last election, so it's my decision. I'm just going to watch and make sure you don't finish illegally.
That's so weird. Joel, I didn't think that was real. I thought that's so gross and so unpersuasive. I thought that's got to be a satire. That was, and by the way, Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn, I think he's one of the two people terrified that Trump will win and release the Jeffrey Epstein records.
Right. You know,
I mean, Bill Gates made a $50 million donation for the first time in his life for the Democrats. I think they're worried. They think that's their male audience. They think that's what a real guy is like. What do you think of that?
Right, like that men want marijuana and pornography. And look, they're catering to men who don't get off the couch, and like as if men want to stay home and live with their parents or whatever. We do have a problem at the moment in the United States and in the West in general of men who are failing to launch, who don't get jobs, who don't start families. And so Democrats are saying to them, it's okay, we accept you as you are. We're going to keep supplying you with the things that allow you to waste your time. And this is not what most American men actually want to be. There is a population, but even that population doesn't want to live that way. I mean, they're doing it because they feel a sense of despair. But, you know, Black men do care about things like criminal justice reform, but they don't want to be addressed as criminals or potential criminals. Black men want to be free. And what's amazing about Black Trump supporters, or even just Black Trump voters, they may not support him in general, but they're going to vote for him this time, is how happy they are about it. When you interview Black voters and they talk about why they're voting for Trump, they're amazingly overjoyed about it because they know they're making a statement. Same thing with Hispanic voters. I was picking my daughter up from the bus stop the other day here in Los Angeles, and there was a Toyota with Trump bumper stickers all over it. And there was an Hispanic woman parked at the side of the road in this Toyota. And I leaned out my window and I said to her, "You support Trump, do you?" And she looked at me as if she was bracing for the attack that was to come because I'm a white guy in LA. Of course, I have to be voting for Harris. And I said to her, "Don't worry, I do too." And she smiled this broad smile. You know, they're happy to be breaking out of the conformity and the laziness that Democrats impose on their own voters who are not naturally inclined to the lifestyles that Democrats have forced them into.